This is Matthew McConaughey.
Natalie Portman.
James Patterson.
Michael Ian Black.
And you are listening to
Five Questions
with Dan
Schawbel.
Rick, welcome to Five Questions.
Let's make this happen, baby. What's
awesome.
happening?
Let's do this. What were some of your early childhood experiences that helped you learn how to be a businessman and eventually launch successful ventures?
I think just, just roaming through my neighborhood, roaming through my community, seeing what successful people had going on, the people with the nicest yards, the yards were pedicured and manicured. I like to say pedicured first, but pedicured and then manicured in different levels. And I just remember saying, wow, they work for themselves. They own a lawn service or whatever it is. But I just saw people that really work for themselves, just seemed like they was living a little better where I'm from. So that was something that was planted in the back of my mind. I want to work for myself.
Yeah, I'm sure that was great inspiration too. And you could see the difference between people who work for themselves and who didn't, and the results that they achieved visually in front of you in that environment. So that I'm sure showed you what was possible for you in your own life.
Without a doubt.
During the grind of building your brand and career, what was your daily motivation that helped you persevere despite all the obstacles?
Well, once again, growing up in Miami, it's not a gray area. You either was extremely wealthy or you had nothing. So I would joyride, leave Carroll City where I stayed, ride on Miami Beach, ride down Collins Ave, ride the ocean. And that was all the inspiration I needed because I knew it was real. I saw the valet, I see what's going on. Surfboards, boats, anything you could imagine or fathom was right there in the city. It was just all about getting to it now. So let's get to it. And I just remained, just inspired. And I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't quit for nothing.
And it's every day too, as you know, as anyone looking to build a brand, a business. It's not like you get, 7 months off and you're going to continue to be able to grow that business. Like it is daily grind in and out. And over time, all those little wins, those hours that you put in, build up and build up and build up, and then get you the life that you have now.
Right.
People see the results, but not the journey that you've been through, which you describe in the book and your previous book.
And it's just like when I have friends or guests come over to the promised land and, they come through the double gates, they come into, the estate is 55,000 square feet. And I know it can seem overwhelming, but like I tell everybody who visit here, we built it, like I said in the book, brick by brick. We one step at a time. It's not going to happen overnight. This is 20 years of hard work that you see. And I want to make it clear. So when you see the cars, when you see what's going on around, you got to see that, imagine being an artist who for 20 years woke up and was doing interviews and still find a way to be excited and look forward to doing interviews. So I think that's the secret. You got to find a way to not burn yourself out, not be exhausted, still enjoy what it is you're doing, and you can find a way to continuously win.
I love that. And what are some of your boss commandments that people can implement in their own lives?
Wow, it's so many. And the cool thing about this book is we actually put it together really like in 90 days after the pandemic began, because I found myself sitting around doing stuff I've never done in the last 15 years. We canceled tours, we canceled club dates, we canceled everything we had going on. And I just found myself being asked a lot of questions. And they were the same questions by thousands of people every morning on my platform. Rose, how you lose weight? Did you do it naturally? You did it naturally. How did you keep it off? And the most important question, how did you put yourself in a position to become so wealthy? And I just go back to it, man. You got to do it one day at a time. The most valuable asset you will ever be in control of is time. And there will come a time when we all need or want more time, and you won't have it. So let's take advantage of it every day, every morning. Let's wake up and do something positive. Let's call 5 people that we haven't called in a little while. Let's reach out to some other potential business partners that can help us elevate whatever it is we have going on. As a boss, we can't be afraid to say, I need help. That's the biggest mistake you can make, is not saying I need help.
We don't know everything, and especially in your business, it is all about the relationships, the collaborations, producing albums, getting the word out. Like you need to build this massive community because it takes so much effort to get new music out there. But it's more doable than ever before. But breaking
Without a
through
doubt.
is obviously a big challenge because there's so many artists trying to make it now, and that is the long journey that you've been on, is you've had to go through so much. Now, what I find really fascinating is you were talking about over the past year while you were writing this book and kind of recalibrating your life during COVID. You cut your own grass instead of paying someone else to do it, and you flew commercial instead of private. Why did you
Right.
choose these activities, even though you don't have to do them?
Well, for one, I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking long term. And when I say rich forever, I mean that we need to put ourselves in a position while we have the opportunity that can affect our lives and for the rest of our lives. I've seen so many people when I look at this estate. This is a $25 million estate that a boxer, formerly owned, and he was making $35 million a night, and over his career accumulated over $550 million, and it went into foreclosure. So how do we avoid this? Oh, from my understanding, he had 17 people maintaining the, close to 300 acres. Now it's close to 400 acres, and I maintain the bulk of it with my buddies. They handle the mulch, they handle the edging, they handle the weeds, and I bought a nice size John Deere tractor and I cut the grass. So I'm thinking long term, you know what I mean? And hopefully we'll get some others to think this way as well.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of people, especially like athletes, that make so much money. They didn't grow up with a lot of money. They make a lot of money and then they lose it. It's like the people who win the lottery and then lose it all, right? Because it's not just about the money, as you know. It's about the mindset of how you kind of live your life, build your rich life, and invest and save.
Without a doubt, and me flying commercial, it goes back to the mindset. Still being comfortable with walking through the airport and people, Rose, I need a picture, or Rose, can I ask you about this? How'd you do this? How'd you become a franchisee? How'd you do this? And I'm still comfortable with that. I'm not too big for that. I don't think I ever be too big for that. If I'm flying private, it's because I had to go to 3 different cities in one day. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I'm comfortable with that 2 AC.
Yeah, and you remember how you got here, right? It's the fans supported your rise. Without them, you wouldn't be here. And so it's really, I think that's a really admirable thing to do, like committing to constantly, give back and make sure you recognize that you're where you are because there was so many people that had to, go see you in concert, buy your music. Like there's so much that has to happen. There's so many people that's involved at that level to be able to, rise and build that platform. And what's your best piece of career advice?
So my best piece of career advice is make sure you're always the hardest worker in the room. You can never let no one in the room be recognized or acknowledged as the hardest worker, because you're losing, and you're losing. If that's the case, you're losing much worse than you can fathom. Straight up and down. So if I'm not the smartest person in the room, I will be acknowledged as being the hardest worker. I will stay the latest. I will get there before everybody. And if I can, I'll bring you a chicken, egg, cheese biscuit. Straight up and down. But I have to make sure I elevate myself. And that's the only way you make it to this level or continue to go.
Absolutely. And part of that hard work is staying relevant, right? And I think that's the biggest challenge for anyone in society, but especially creatives like you, is you have to constantly practice your craft, hone your craft. You have to know you have to go and constantly collaborate with other musicians and know what audiences want to hear from you. And so that's a ton of effort to do that. And if you lose track of that, then you become irrelevant, and then you could potentially lose a lot or just not have what you have right now or grow. You always have to be growing.
Without a doubt. And you have to genuinely be dope. You have to genuinely be really dope. You have to genuinely have something that the streets and the fans want to connect with. So you have to spend time, with your craft, with your art, because it's no cutting no corners. Once you release that music, it ain't no taking it back, and it will be judged without any sympathy, as it should be.
I love that. So that's great advice, and thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, man. You're great at what you do, and anytime you need me, I'll be back.